RH, quer saber como voar no trabalho? É só usar a Flash. Com a Flash, você concentra toda a gestão de pessoas em um único lugar. Faça a admissão dos colaboradores e solicite mais de 8 categorias de benefícios. Ah, e você ainda pode fazer todo o controle de ponto. Conheça o novo onboarding integrado da Flash em flashapp.com.br.
Olha o contra-ataque aí, vem que vem o time avançando rápido pela meio de campo. Bola dominada no pé do camisa 10. Ele vai pra cima, passou pelo primeiro, passou pelo segundo e bateu a grande área, vai chutar. Bateu, é gol! Que golaço, minha gente!
A experiência de futebol mais autêntica já criada pros games. Junte-se no 5v5 Rush, a nova maneira de jogar com os amigos e leve seu clube pra vitória. EA Sports FC25, dê tudo pelo clube. Já disponível.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. Today, we have a fellow podcaster, one half of Chatty Broads, and a former Bachelor contestant, Bekah Martinez.
Hello,
I have a hard time not
everyone.
calling you Bekah because that's what so many people called you.
Hey, I like
Juliet
that.
from The Ringer? That's what she called you, as Bekah.
I like that a lot better than Baby Bekah, which was a thing for a long time.
That's too many
It's
words.
just annoying now because it's
Yeah.
like, and I have babies, so don't call me Baby Bekah anymore.
It's weird. And every girl from The Bachelor is like how old you were now.
Yeah,
it's like you started the trend.
That's true.
And no one's questioning if they're ready to get married.
Well, hopefully that's going to switch back after
I'm
Claire's season.
very excited. Remind me after this to show you what my boyfriend's friend found her on the beach, and his friends were like, "Hey, she's the next Bachelorette," and he like literally is just like, it's a whole video of just him flirting with her, like trying to get on the season. And I was like, you need to stop.
that.
This is embarrassing. Yeah, he's had a couple of reality TV stints, and I was like, I think you need to go on one that like isn't going to wonder if you're there for the right reasons, because a quick Google search will show that you're not.
Although, like, half these girls now are influencers.
It's true. He was just on America's Next Top Model. And like was like the villain. And I'm like, you can't go on The Bachelorette. Like it's not gonna work, but it's a good time. If you guys are new here, this is an advice podcast. If you want to call in for an upcoming episode, our phone number is 310-694-0976. And if you need to write that down, totally write it down, because someone definitely wrote on our Facebook wall being like, why could I not call in? It was a busy signal and it was not any of the right numbers.
None at all.
Not even in like the area code, not a single number was the same.
So
I was like, where did you fucking get that phone
number?
number? And she's like, oh, oops. So just write it down. I say it all the time. It's in the show notes. And if you're an international listener, you can send us an audio file at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, I'm excited. You're going to be great at this because you guys do advice on your podcast too. And
we do. I get so nervous about the live calls though, so you're really brave.
Oh, they're not live. Don't worry. They don't call. Oh my God. No. We've done.
They leave voicemails?
Yeah, they leave voicemails.
So you can go in. Oh, yeah. Rarely. I mean, sometimes it's 50-50 if we're on their side or we're telling them they're being the dumb bitch.
Do you ever listen to Vial Files?
Yes, I have.
Podcast? Yeah, because he does that all the time, the live calls, and it just gives me, I can't listen to it when I'm listening to his podcast because it gives me so much anxiety.
Me too. Also, he's like a dude, so like he can kind of just like say whatever.
It's
but
true.
It's like, I don't want to hurt your feelings.
No, you're going to get lots of 1-star reviews if you're laying into people like men are able to do somehow.
Yeah, but I mean, I still do. We just get people who then like won't listen
They
again.
can't respond.
No.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
we've only done live calls when we had our 100th episode.
Yeah.
That was it.
And we were on their side for most of them.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, though.
Yeah.
I like that.
That was fun. I also just can't deal with the lag. Like when I'm like waiting for them to respond. And I'm like, and I need to talk a lot.
Yeah, we do the audio files too. Okay, great. I'm stoked.
It's going to be a good time. Should we start?
Hi, Megan, Melissa, and possible guest. I have been with my boyfriend for about 3 years, a little over, and he recently came to some conclusions in his therapy, which great. He's going to therapy. I actually encouraged him to go. And so he figured some stuff out. One of them is the fact that he has never had female friends before, and he's starting to have female friends, which I encourage that. Obviously you should have friends of all genders because that's just how humans interact. I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so he said he doesn't know how to interact with girls in a non-romantic way. So before this, I was never like worried about him and any of his female friends. However, now I am a little bit worried about it. And he's going to his friend's birthday party on Friday night, and I can't go to the party for several hours, and I'm like thinking about possibly asking him not to go until I'm going, because his female friends are going to be there and he's going to be possibly under the influence of something, yada yada. The second thing is the fact that he came out to me as bisexual, and I actually don't have a problem with that. It's just the fact that we've been together for 3 years, and so this revelation kind of like puts a little different perspective on our relationship. That also being the fact that he doesn't know how to be friends with the opposite sex. It just, you know, all of this together really makes me feel like I don't know the person I've been in love with for 3 years. And so I'm a little lost, and I don't know what to do about it or really how to communicate with him about it. The party thing, I think I might just go ahead and ask him not to go, because you're probably going to answer this after.
Well, with the friend thing, it's like, congrats, you played yourself.
I'm confused though. Like I this is like, and not even in like a shade way. I'm just like so confused why that's something that you would bring up in therapy. Like, I don't have a lot of female friends. Like,
well, maybe they're talking about like, I don't know. Maybe this is a reach, but no. But him being like, I feel like I don't have very many female influences in my life besides my mom and my girlfriend and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. They're probably talking about his dating history in therapy.
Yeah. I just think it's odd. I don't know. I just think it's odd that like he brought it up in therapy that like he doesn't have a lot of like female friends, and now he has a bunch of female friends that she's not friends with.
Maybe the therapist asked him, maybe they were talking about his friends, and then the therapist was like, do you have any female friends?
Yeah.
And he was just
like, it's more of like
no,
an emotional support thing.
Right.
Yeah. It's just,
how do you make all these female friends?
That's what I'm a little curious about, because like, I don't know. Like, I go to therapy and like, I don't know. I'd feel like my therapist, if I like said something about like, oh, I don't feel like I have a lot of like guy friends, like my therapist would be like, okay. Like, I don't know what like she would say that like, or how that would go in a certain way. So to me, I mean, like my cynical ass is being like, oh, he's just like, you know, wanting an excuse to like, maybe he didn't even talk to his therapist about it, and he was like, oh, I just made a bunch of female friends. I just think I don't know. I think the bi thing is like, who cares? Like,
I understand her saying like, I don't feel like I've known him, but he probably didn't really fully realize that about himself until he started talking through some shit. Yeah. So you're probably both discovering something at the same time. So it's not like he's hiding anything.
Yeah, no, I agree. Most of my friends who've come out as bi, the ones who had the hardest time were the ones who were in like heterosexual relationships, because they were like, I feel like I've been lying to myself, and now in turn I've lied to my partner, and it doesn't like devalue our relationship at all. But now that I know it, I feel like I have to like let them know, because like, and you don't have, I mean, it's whatever you want to do with it. But my friends who've come out in relationships had the hardest time versus like single ones. Cause it feels kind of like you're afraid of how the other person's going to react if it is like invalidating your current feelings. But I don't know. I think there's a bigger issue here. I think if you're like worried about a lot of stuff.
That's weird, because she's also like, I encouraged him to have female friendships, but now I don't want him hanging out with, which, okay. I guess that's because he told her, I have trouble relating to women outside of romantic. I have trouble relating to women platonically.
Why would you tell your girlfriend that, though?
I know. That's true.
That's like, just lie. Like
that's some true. People are truthful, Meg.
No, just fucking lie. Because that's the thing. It's like, if you're not going to act on it, and you're just like, oh, I'm flirtatious. Because here's what I would say. Like, if you're just a naturally flirtatious person and you're in a relationship and like you don't want to make your significant other uncomfortable, then like maybe that was you self-regulating of being like, I'm not going to have a lot of female friends because I don't really know how to relate to women without like a sexual air to it and flirting and stuff like that. And I like really respect my relationship. And so I know that like I can blur those lines, but it's just weird to like, it's essentially being like, hey, I don't have any female friends. I don't know how to like be friends with them without flirting. So heads up, I'm about to flirt with a lot of bitches.
So that's like, the thing. I could see saying it in passing, and you know how men are, where they'll like say something in passing without really thinking about
just like,
how
and then you're
it's
like, it's a bomb for you. And
right.
You're like,
So they've been together for 3 years. So I can imagine having a conversation about like, maybe he's talking about, I don't have a lot of female friends. And like, it's really hard for me to even start a platonic friendship because I don't know how to, because I've only ever dated women. And that's how I relate to people. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he's flirting it up with these chicks who are now his friend. It could have been like like the conversation of he doesn't know how to be friends with, he like only flirts could have happened like at the same 2 years ago. And then this is happening now. And she's like, but I remember. Yeah, right. It's weird. So what's the context of that? I don't know. But also, don't tell him he can't go hang out with his female friends until you're there. It's probably too late. But it's also a party. And if you're worried about what he's gonna do drunk, what the fuck? That's what I think. It has to be something else. Like, I just think that like unless you have like the greatest imagination in the world, I think if you're like if you can piece together, oh, he's going to a party with all like these other girls and he's gonna be drunk. Like, there's something else had to have happened that made you worried. Right? And in that case, if he's now come out as bi and he's going out drinking, like, what if he's going to now be drunk and explore his bisexuality? Are you worried about him being drunk around guys now, too? Yeah. Which is, I just think that you're... just got to quarantine him. I think there's a bigger issue here. I think like that's what it boils down to. Maybe you should talk to your therapist. Yeah. And I would also just have I think you need to assess, because we obviously don't know like the sequence of these conversations, because if it did kind of happen all at once, it does kind of sound like, hey, I'm creating a situation, an opportunity where you're going to root for me to like kind of be unfaithful. And because I also think like, well, I don't think that like leading anyone on is like a legitimate thing at all. But I do think that if he knows that he's like super flirtatious, he's not actually making friendships then. Do you know what I mean? Like if he's like, oh, I want to go be friends with all of these girls, but like, I don't know how to like have a friendship without being flirtatious. Like that's not really how you make like, that's not how I make guy friends. Like if a guy's like flirting with me, I'm like, oh, he wants to be my friend. Let me be his friend. So like, it's just going to create like confusion on their end too. And if you don't know these girls, I would also like, I could totally understand like being nervous, but it does to me sound like if it did come out all at once, that it is like a little sus. It also sounds like she's being included in some of his activities with them. Maybe she hasn't met them yet. I don't know. Yeah. I just think you need to figure out what you're nervous about from in your own relationship. Like take out him being bi and take out like the friend stuff. Like what is there other aspects of this that you are nervous about that he hasn't? Do you have some reason to distrust him? And if so, like maybe evaluate why. Especially because the drunk thing. That I'm like, that sounds like a prior like something else had happened before. Or is it going off of like, oh, my friend, this happened to them and all of that stuff. Right. Because there's also a level of like your partner can be too honest with you. And like you can be like, hey, there are some things that like, this is the kind of stuff that like, I want to know about, stuff that pertains to our relationship. But like when you talk about me, like talk about this kind of stuff that you talk with me in therapy, cause he's processing it in therapy and then he's probably recapping you to you. And you're not a part of that. So like, you don't know everything. So I think you either need to ask more questions or let him know that there's certain things that you don't want to hear about. I know. And my boyfriend does that all the time. He'll overshare with things where he'll be like, or he'll even drop like, you know, his friend he's been friends with for 15 years about how they hooked up 12 years ago. And I'm just like, don't tell me. Yeah, like, I don't need to know. I don't want to know that you slept with Jenna in college. Like, and I know it's 10 years later. Just don't fucking tell me. Are you stupid? Can you not tell if you've seen like people together? Like there was one friend where he like would casually drop like, oh yeah, when we hooked up when we were on this like senior trip or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck? Like she like we hang with her and her husband and stuff. And like, I'm just like, don't tell me. Yeah, I don't need to picture that. Dumb? It's like, weird. Yeah, I'm very lucky my boyfriend is not friends with anyone he has slept with, thankfully. But like, we'll go to weddings, and I'm like, "You fucked that bitch, you fucked that bitch, and you fucked that one." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I can tell." I know what you're talking about. There's that, but then it's like these are friends he's been with since high school. Yeah, and they got drunk and hooked up, and I'm still like, just don't tell me. No, it's just weird. Are you dumb? Yeah, it's not a good time. No. Because then you just like dwell on it where they're like, oh yeah, it's like mentioned in passing. And like, I don't think about this ever. And you're like, but the way you said it now, I'm thinking about that. You think about this all the time. And I'm like, what do you mean by this? How many of your friends have you slept with? Exactly. What the fuck? Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I think you just have to have a conversation with like, or like an internal conversation with yourself, figure out why you're upset. And then, I don't know, talk with him about it. And maybe if you want to, and you feel like it would be beneficial, ask him if you can like go to a therapy session with him and you guys can kind of talk through that stuff. Because hit up his therapist, become friends. Don't let the therapist know that he's your boyfriend. Then try to get information from the therapist about the boyfriend. That's the advice. And it's nothing. It will not blow up in your face. It will be great. And your boyfriend won't break up with you and his therapist won't leave him. I also just think if you're at the point where you're restricting your partner, then you need to evaluate the relationship. Well, it's just going to backfire. Like, it's just not healthy. I'm also in the mindset of like,
I don't want to have to tell if you're hurting my feelings and it's an accident, but there are other times that like I don't want to have to tell you how to behave. Like if that's how you're naturally going to behave, I'd rather know that.
Right, when you're drunk.
Yeah. And like I don't want to have to be like, oh shit, he is going to do all of this stuff unless I tell him not to. I would just rather know that you're going to do it, and then like I can evaluate your character from there. Versus like, you know, when you're like accidentally hurting my feelings and I'm like, you have no idea this hurt my feelings, but it did. Then I'll tell you. But other stuff I'm like, I'm not going to tell you not to do that.
Agree.
Yeah. Should we go on to the next one? Best of luck. Hope it turns out well.
For starters, I'm 22 and everyone else in this situation is between the ages of 20 and 22. So for a little background, my boyfriend and I met at work and we've been together for about a year and a half. Because of the timing of how we got together, we kind of became the focal point of like a work friend group. And just as a side note, like none of us work at this place anymore. But within this friend group are my longtime best friend and this other girl among some other people. So anyways, my boyfriend and I have a really great relationship and our friend group is really great too, but there's some tension sometimes because my best friend and the other girl are in pretty rough romantic relationships. This call isn't about my best friend's relationship, but don't worry, she's still really important to the story. So I'm calling because the newer girl that my boyfriend and I became friends with is in a super toxic and controlling relationship. Whenever we all hang out, this girl's boyfriend gets really possessive and jealous because there's another guy there who is my boyfriend. And there's obviously no reason for anyone to be jealous or uncomfortable. Like, he obviously doesn't have any feelings for her whatsoever. Like, he's been with me for a year and a half. And we even try to include her boyfriend by inviting him out with us when he can come. But sometimes he can't come because he's not 21 yet. Also, this girl's boyfriend is my best friend's brother. So there's that. So I guess what I'm asking is, how do my boyfriend and I navigate this situation, knowing that one of our friends is in a relationship that's terrible for her, while the other friend will always be on the other guy's side because he's her brother? Thanks. Bye.
You need
Didn't
new
see
friends.
that coming, did you?
No.
You need to ghost all of these people and make some new friends.
Also, like, why are you just going to be on your brother's side just because he's your brother?
Yeah.
If my brother's being a shithead to his girlfriend,
I feel like, yeah, you'd be the first person to be like, sorry for being a shithead. That is odd. I mean, I wonder how big this friend group is because, like,
or maybe it's just them.
Because if it's just them and he's not always there, it's like her and her boyfriend and then their other friend, the female friend. That sucks for her. She's probably so bored.
Well, best friend. I think she said the best friends in a part.
The two girls
has a boyfriend. Best friend and her boyfriend,
and then the
best friend's brother and his girlfriend, who is also her newer friend, and then her and her boyfriend. Right. So the six of them.
I mean, I would just stop hanging out with them.
Ghost them all.
Yeah. I mean, people are always like, Megan, you like talk about ghosting. Like it's such like a thing to be proud of. It's an awful thing that I do.
Yeah, but it's only for people that are toxic. It's not just like random, like people that are situations.
Yeah,
it's not like good friends.
No,
like,
and also I would prefer to be ghosted than someone to be like, hi, I don't want to be your friend anymore.
Oh my god, we just talked about it on our podcast.
Yeah, it's I could never.
Please don't tell me like you just don't like me anymore.
No,
I'd rather just take the cues.
Exactly. Like, okay, cool. We're
I get
we're
this. Don't say anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's anything.
It's hard because obviously it sounds like she really wants to continue being friends with her best friend and her friend.
Yeah.
And her newer friend.
Sometimes your friends date people that fucking suck. And like,
geez,
you can't do anything.
Awful though, right? Like
I have.
If he's just getting jealous because another guy's there existing.
And also, isn't that like awkward? Like in the moment, like there's only like six of you there, and he's just like glaring at the dudes. Like, but he can't be mad at the other one because he's fucking. It's like his sister's boyfriend. So he's like, I'm jealous of all of you. Like, do you want to fuck your sister?
How is this playing out? Like,
I don't know. That's the thing that I think of. Like, I think that's probably why my mind goes to ghosting. Because I'm like, this sounds like an uncomfortable situation. Like, not fun. But if she's like cluing you in, if she's like talking about it when he's not there, that he's hella jealous and stuff like that, I think the only thing you can do is like be supportive and listen and not contribute too much to like the takedown of him, but being like, yeah, you know, like it does seem a little odd that like he would feel so jealous about like my boyfriend being here. But like, I don't know. Like, I just think you have to kind of like be a listening ear. But if you tell her like, hey, break up with your boyfriend, I think it'll backfire.
I would do that. I would be like, he's really toxic. And like, this is a major red flag, like among all these other red flags. And then if your best friend comes at you, if she's your best friend, I'd just be like, bro, look at your brother's behavior. Do you want him treating women that way? Like, that's not acceptable.
That's actually probably exactly what I would do, but I would also be okay losing all of those people. Do you know what I mean though? But like, I've had people who've dated guys who like they kind of suck. They like weren't the worst, and I would like vent with my other friends about it, and then would be like, okay, cool, I'm over it. Like, you've been around a long enough time. Like, I've warmed up to you. It's fine. But then there's I've done.
Also, kind of like you were saying, it's like, well, what's the future longevity of this relationship with the newer friend looking like with him? Has this been a couple months? Has this been a couple years? Like, how long have they been together? Are they going to break up on their own?
Yeah, because I mean, people like there's obviously like extreme manipulation and gaslighting, which you're not aware of when it's happening to you. But if it is like pretty early on in the relationship and she's talking about it, like she knows it's happening, it might just be like this isn't going to last forever, and she'll realize
we just gotta wait it out.
Yeah, but also like if she's a newer friend, you don't know her like that well. Some people also just like shitty people. Like it might be like, oh, I would never, because I think there's like a difference of like you meet your friend's significant other. I would never date them versus someone being like, I can't be friends with you if you're dating someone like this because like I don't feel good morally. Like, I'm not like necessarily letting it happen, but kind of like sitting by and idly watching someone treat you like this.
Well, also if it's a newer relationship, I would maybe be more apt at the same time to get in the way, like to try to stop things. Because also if it's already headed down this road, it's like, how toxic is this relationship going to be for this friend?
Can you imagine like 2 months in and you're like the worst and you're like, no, that's when I'm like perfect. Like, what do you mean you're going to be bad
my
now?
best behavior
I'm like,
right
well,
now.
this is going to get so much fucking worse. But I mean, I've definitely lost friends because I've been honest about the people they've been dating, but it's only when it's to a level that like, again, I am willing to lose you as a friend because like, I'm just not cool. Like, so that's experiencing it with you.
That's what's crazy is that I think she's nervous about losing both her friends.
Yeah. I mean,
I wonder how long she's been friends with this best friend.
Yeah. I just think that like you have to weigh the situation and like, are you okay? Because like ultimately like you can't have your friend break up with this guy and maintain all of your friends. You can't guarantee that. So like it has to be either you guys just, and like maybe just the answer is like stop hanging out as a group. Like, and just don't involve yourself in it. Cause like then you're protecting your friendships. Only hang out with them solo. Don't do like this double date, all this kind of stuff.
I mean, you could just straight up say that to the newer friend and be like, honestly, I think we should all stop hanging out in a group because you and I both know that there's a lot of issues with jealousy when we're all hanging out together.
It's so weird. Maybe I'm like being such a shit starter, but like maybe the girl, like, the newer friend, maybe she'd said something like before. I don't know. Maybe you're like, I don't know why.
I see what you're saying. Like maybe it's not really playing out.
Yeah,
like maybe she's just talking about it.
Yeah, like maybe it's something that like I don't know. It's just not as if there's tension because like the sister and the brother, like maybe she's upset about it. Like maybe I don't know. Like to me, is like there's so many moving pieces that I'm like, who's right in this situation?
Well, and I have one friend in particular I can think of who I ended up breaking up with, and but she gave me a good, sometimes like when you don't want to be friends with someone anymore, and then they like give you a really good excuse to break off the friendship.
We were literally talking about in our like last episode that I was like, it's the greatest thing about toxic friends because they do it to themselves.
You're just waiting for them to do something, and then you never talk to them again, and you're totally justified. Exactly. Yep. So I had that happen, but she was dating someone I remember, and he was like 20 and she was like 21. We were around that age, but he was so toxic where literally within 10 minutes of meeting him, he was like screaming about something.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was really wild. He was like in the military and he was like, I've killed people within like 15 minutes. And, oh yeah. And she was just like ignoring all the red flags. Anyway, so it could be that this guy is like literally that crazy.
Yeah.
And is literally just like, stop looking at my girlfriend in front of everyone. It's
so weird. Maybe the solution is talking to your best friend about it and then being like, hey, I love you. And like, I say this because like I care about you and your family, but like, I feel like they're not a good fit. And like, I doubt she wants them to date either. Like maybe that's weird for her. And like, if you like pose it not as like your brother's toxic, where she's like, I just feel like they're like not like a good couple. And then she can maybe like let you in on that stuff. Or you just get a whole new group of friends. I could never do this.
Revamp.
Yeah. You and your boyfriend just need to also, can you imagine your boyfriend being there like, I'm not into her. Like, this is so weird. And he can't go to stuff because he's only 20.
I know. I'm like, maybe the solution is her boyfriend confronts the brother and is like, bro, I'm not into your chick.
Yeah.
Back off. You need to calm down. Like, if he actually is really crazy in person, if he needs to be like, you need to stop. This is not appropriate.
That's so fucking weird. Well, best of luck.
I'd be doing that. I'd be like, okay, go talk, confront him.
My boyfriend would be like, I really don't give a shit. And I'm like, fine. Okay, whatever. It's like just like the least, like I could get catcalled. He's like, you got this. And I'm like, you don't want to like stick up for me? He's like, well, don't you want to do this? I was like, oh, you're right. I do. Like, hold my hoops. I got this. I love it. Let us know what happens. I would love an update on this one because this is wildly interesting to me.
Also,
and I
give details.
Yeah, I feel bad for your friend group. This is stressful. Also, imagine there's like one other person you didn't mention who's just like in the friend group who's like, like not a part of any of these couples.
Send them in then to break up the relationship.
Well, best of luck. On to the next.
I am a 21-year-old Hispanic bisexual female who is dating a 30-year-old cis white man. So I guess I'm asking for advice because my boyfriend grew up in a small town in North Carolina. And otherwise, I mean, he went into the military for a few years, traveled around for a few years. And for the most part, bro is like genuinely, he's knowledgeable. He's not ignorant about stuff, you know. But I've been having a really big issue because I found out that he was registered Republican, which, you know, I get why you may have done it like 10 years ago. But anyways, and so it became kind of like this thing that we just stopped talking about it. Like we stopped bringing it up and we stopped talking about like politics as a whole. Until like one day he was like, the only Democratic person that I liked running like isn't probably going to be nominated, so I'm gonna have to vote for Trump. And as someone being me, I was a little like shook by it, and he didn't understand why I was shook, and we like got into a huge argument about it, and he like apologized to me for, he said, not like understanding where I was coming from, and then we just never spoke about it again. But like now we're just talking about, I don't know why he brought it up, but he's talking about Columbus Day and about how like people now like make such a big deal about it and like and act like America was like a fucking paradise before Columbus came and like spread disease. But like the part that gets me is that he's like, and now like people are like saying stuff against white people now, like yada yada yada. And it's like, I don't know, I tried to tell him, like, it has nothing to do with the fact that you're fucking white. It has to do with, like, the fact that you had hard stuff in your life, sure shit, but, like, you being white didn't hurt that. And every time I do that, he just gets really, like, super pissed off. And I don't know how to, like, deal with that and, like, make him, I guess, like, us be on the same page about that. I don't know. I could just really use advice on how to deal with him not recognizing that he had white privilege. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, you're totally going to be able to change his mind.
Oh my God.
This is such a good use of your time and energy. Try to educate. Use your emotional energy and output to try to educate this guy.
And also, when you're already choosing not to talk about politics, like you've already heard all of this stuff, and he's like to the point where he's bringing up Columbus Day. Boy wants to fight you. He wants to, you're trying not to bring all this stuff up, and he is.
I hate him.
I hate him so much, and I don't know.
You know, okay. Here's what I'm gonna let you know.
Mic.
You know that he's on internet forums being like, honestly, the biggest victimized group in this country right now is white males. Mm-hmm. Like, we can't do anything for fear of this is what he's not fully saying to you, guaranteed, since he's bringing up this much already. Dude, why the fuck? She already knows the answer to this.
Yeah, I'm highly curious if who else is in your like in your orbit of like friends and stuff, because like I just think it's like absolutely preposterous to put up with this shit unless like you are the only like queer minority of your friend group, and like so you don't have someone else to like talk with about this, because like my boyfriend Mats and I, we literally get in arguments because like I like think that like everyone who's racist, like the purge should happen, and like and he's like, well, we can like educate. I was like, too late, fucking done. Like I'm out. Like I have I am like no patience. Yeah, I have no patience for that. And we're both like very liberal arguing about this stuff. So like I can't imagine. Like, and also, like...
I know what you're talking about, because me and my boyfriend will get in arguments where I'll be like, yeah, there's not enough black artists in museums. And he'll be like, well, what should we do about it? And I'm like, well...
Take out the white ones.
Right. And he's like, well, white people are losing their jobs that they've had for years. And I'm like, well, that's what's going to happen. Like, there's going to be imbalance. And we like argue about that kind of shit.
But it's like, it's not...
And I'll still get really heated.
That's what
and I'll be screaming
like,
at
I'll
him.
Get so much more livid than this girl's getting. And like we're voting for all of the same people,
right?
And like we like align on everything. It's just like I'm a little bit more extreme. So like this is like I just think this is absolutely wild. And also this reminds me of the kind of guy, like, have you ever, who he like blew up online, but he like made a post about like his plus size girlfriend, and it was essentially like praising him for dating her, and like how like society idea of beautiful, like that's not what it is, like, and it was one of those things that I'm like, congratulations,
you like,
for, like
to fuck fat chicks,
like,
is that what you're saying?
And like it was like, wow, what a sweet
a gold
guy
star.
And everybody was like, ew, dude, like you're also fetishizing her, and
well,
like
totally,
it's not,
exactly, like you're basing your relationship with her off of the fact that you're attracted to her in spite of her body.
And like this to me seems like he thinks that like he has every right and claim to say all this stuff because like, no, my girlfriend is Hispanic and she's queer. Like, so what, like, look how good of a person I am. I can't possibly be a bad person. And also like,
and also I've had hard shit in my life too. Yeah. I'm not privileged because I've had a hard life.
And also like if you were an illegal immigrant or your family was, like his feelings about you would completely change. Like that's the part that I think is absolutely insane, is that like if you want to talk about like, and nowadays there's like fiscally Republican, and I'm also just going to state here, people get so heated, which like if you want to unfollow,
so happy
I'm
about
fine.
These
if you want
comments.
to if you want to unfollow and like stop listening to this podcast because like the way we're talking about like Republicans, that's totally fine. I would actually love if you left. Like, goodbye. Like, this has been great. Hope we've had a good time. Like, I don't like, I have no desire for you to be here as much as you have no desire to be here. Like, that's fine by me. Again, like I said, I would just like everybody. And this isn't me claiming that everyone, like I know people who are fiscally Republican, but we're talking about being Republican and voting for Trump specifically also, at this day and age.
Who is his Democratic nominee that he was so set on? And now he's like, well, my only other choice is to vote for Trump.
Is it Bloomberg?
I don't know.
It would have to be.
But he said they weren't running, but Bloomberg ran.
I thought he said that they're not going to get that. Like they're like no chance.
Turns out it's Elizabeth Warren.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine my fucking queen? I would die. I'd be like, yeah, bro, that's not how we bounce.
I mean, I started zoning out when she said that he was in the military, and this is not my podcast, so I can say that.
Yeah, you can. No, I mean, I also will say I just saw a TikTok about a girl who found out her husband was in the military, was cheating on her, and she found out by looking through his Google search history the day that she had surgery, and he literally said, "What happened?" He Googled what happens when you cheat on your wife in the military, and it's just all these Google searches, and she's like, "Yeah, so like not only does he suck, he's like really dumb." I was like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So I'm not like judging at all of those relationships, but like the fact that she's still trapped in that marriage because it was like a military one. I just think that like you're being too lenient, and I don't think you're and I say this like as a white woman, I don't think you're surrounding yourself with enough allies, because like I think this is so far beyond that. This is someone who's like invalidating your life experience and like is trying to
but women compromise themselves all the time for partners where they're all their partners, their friends will be up here on their life, and for some reason we talk about that all the time.
I'm like, you have to hold your friends and your significant other to the same
standards.
Yeah, I just think that this is such a shit show. And we had a call from like season 1 or whatever where her husband was voting for Trump, and it was like a huge issue, and people got heated at us because we were like, I think, and she was like concerned because she was very liberal, and it was like a whole thing. I was like, the issue at this point, being a Republican who's voting Republican and for Trump at this point, it's a moral issue. It's not just like a political one. Sure. And I think that like if you stay in this relationship, it's only gonna get like more invalidated. Like you have kids with him, like you have like all of this other stuff.
It's also really weird. Like, how is that like a surprise to you at a certain point?
Yeah, and like not talking about politics, I understand
like when you're married to someone.
Like I understand for some people not talking about politics is fine, but like I think that works when you are like when one of you is like a little more apolitical and you don't really care as much. But I think if you're on such like opposing different sides, I just think that like it comes down to how you're going to raise your kids. It comes down to all of this sort of stuff. Like, you don't want like if you're Hispanic and if you guys have kids and you've got like, you know, mixed race babies, and then like there's all these like if like saying racial slurs and then their dad's like,
well, like, and also like what you were saying earlier, not that I'm like giving people a pass for doing this, but I remember I nannied for a family where the wife was, this is years ago, voting for Hillary and the husband was voting for Trump. And he was super straightforward of like, yeah, I agree with Democratic politics. And he was just like, I've got 3 small businesses and I'm voting for Trump. And I'm not saying that's right, but like as a partner, I'm going to evaluate something differently than someone being like, what he's saying was like, white people are always coming under fire these days, and Columbus Day is still a great holiday. And all that. It's like this dude, she knows who this dude is. Just break up with him already.
And it seems like a gross idea that like, okay, sure, if you're like a cis white dude who's voting for Trump and you're dating like a cis white woman, but you're like literally dating someone where you can look at her and be like, yeah, I'm gonna vote for a president who like invalidates your existence and thinks you're a piece of shit. And also like and you're dating her, like how does that work at all? Like I would just feel so uncomfortable with like my boyfriend looking at me every single day, knowing who I am and choosing to vote for someone who doesn't care about me. I'd be like, so you don't care about me.
Well, how about just thinking that his struggle is exactly the same as yours, which is, if not more so.
And I get why, like I've had to explain to like my boyfriend like a bunch of times, like especially when it comes to like not even necessarily like somewhat like mansplaining stuff. And I was talking to her, like we have a couple therapists, and I was talking to her about it, and I was like, I really wish that there was I agree, like mansplaining has become like such like a terrible term because like it's not a great thing, but it's also not, same thing with gaslighting. It's not a forever thing. You can do that totally by accident, and like our society and our system is set up for men to think that like, yeah, my opinion is valid, you want to hear it. And I'm like, so if I'm going to tell you you're mansplaining to me, this isn't like an end of a conversation, me throwing a hissy fit. It's like me explaining what you're doing, and then I'm going to tell you what it is you're doing. I'm not claiming you're doing it intentionally, and then we're going to like learn from this and fix this. And like the same thing with like white privilege sort of stuff, where like I like will explain and like of like something that like happened like a long time ago, where I was like, here's the thing, like we can complain about this happening and like it totally sucked for you, and I'm not going to invalidate that at all, but I think something you can check here is like, how happy are you in this situation? Like you reaped so much from your white privilege here. And he was like, well, no, it still sucked. I was like, no, it still totally sucked.
Invalidating that,
anything can still completely suck, but your race didn't make the situation worse. Something that you can't control, like anything that happened in your life that you played a part in, all of this sort of stuff, it happened, it sucked, not a great situation, but your race didn't make this a worse outcome. And it was like, oh, okay. And I was like, that's all it is checking your privilege.
Well, and also it's like your partner's got to be at a place where they're willing to like listen, and it doesn't sound, I mean,
no, I think
that's not the case here. She knows it. She knows it. That's why she's calling and asking about this.
And also to this podcast specifically.
How can I make him understand?
But it's also, how can I make him care about me?
But also, like, why do you want to continue to put in this like emotional energy output for this dude? He sounds like a piece of trash.
Well, that's why I think you need to evaluate who else you're surrounding yourself with, because I cannot imagine this is the first time that you've done this and like you've gone out of your way to make other people like make something good and like just kind of push your feelings to the side and all of that stuff. I think like I would take like a big evaluation and spend some time with people who are like aligned with your politics and like have conversations with them there, because like it's not your job to like mediate. And I think he's just going to keep picking fights over and over and over again.
Yeah, again, like you said, why is he bringing it up?
Yeah,
especially to his girlfriend, who I'm sure knows how he feels.
And if you're like consciously saying like, let's not talk about politics, and he's like goes to like Columbus Day, like you're gonna bring up Columbus Day. Was it even Columbus Day? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
that's in October. She called in recently, so nope, it was not Columbus Day.
It's just so fucking weird. Like so weird to me. Like completely. And I just like, Yeah, I just don't understand. I think you probably do this a lot in your other relationships, and I would evaluate that because you don't have to.
Also, just be with someone you don't need to change.
Yeah, and it's
to
only
be
gonna
who
get
you
worse.
want them to be.
Like, what if you get pregnant? You don't want to have the kid, and he's like, "No, you have to." Ooh. Like, can you? Like, oh my god, it's just it's only gonna. I truly think it will only get worse, and like, I would get out while you can. And then like date like a nice lady, you know?
Yeah.
Like date a nice lady. Like you're going to like surpass, like first of all, you're going to
date a 22-year-old Hispanic queer woman. Like, how about that?
You're literally going to surpass so much of that shit of being like, okay, cool. I'm going to be able to dodge like the white male privilege bullet.
I mean, I would always phrase it like this too. Would you want your best friend dating this dude?
Mm-hmm. And if you had a kid, would you want your kid dating this dude? Like just your actions, how you're reacting and responding to him. Mm-hmm. Because he doesn't. You can't love someone like you shouldn't have to handhold someone and like explain to them like, oh, your morals don't align. Because like you shouldn't be the exception where it's like, yeah, I like hate all Hispanics and think we need to like build a wall, but like you can stay. I'd be like, well, well, no, that's not how it works.
Well, also. Yeah, what does he even think about queer issues? What the fuck?
I know.
Okay.
I wonder if it is like he's making
anymore.
you feel special sort of thing. Like you're the one that's chosen and you get to be saved. Ugh, gross. Hate him, break up with him. Is it time for a break? Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, guys, we are back from our break and we're getting to the rest of the calls.
So I met my boyfriend on Tinder actually a couple months ago in like November. No, September, sorry. And we started dating in December because he is literally the love of my life. You can judge me, but he is. Not that I'm gonna like marry him or anything, but I love him. Anyways, we recently talked about kind of like the beginning stages of when we were first talking, and I told him I was like talking and having sex with 2 other guys, and he got like really jealous about it. And then he was like, yeah, I was still hanging out with my ex around that time. And keep in mind that was in September. It's now January, so it hasn't been that long since he's been without his ex. And I was under the impression that he broke up with his ex all the way in like March or April. And now I find out that they were hanging out in September. And I don't want to sound like super insecure because I feel like I do have a pretty good self-esteem, but his ex is a model and she is so fucking hot. And I know this because I've stalked him and I've seen photos, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, she's really hot and skinny and pretty, and it makes me super insecure. And she's actually in a different state right now on a modeling contract. So he was telling me like, my ex wanted to get back together with me because I told her I was talking to you and she got jealous and blah, blah, but I chose you. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I think you just chose me because you didn't want to move states to be with your ex. And I'm kind of just someone out of convenience. And I feel like he's probably not over his ex. I don't know. Am I going crazy or is this completely rational? Let me know. Thanks.
Wait, so I'm confused.
Yeah.
They started dating. They started talking in September.
They met on Tinder in September. They've been dating since December. It's January. He's the love of her life. She's not going to marry him or anything, but he's the love of her life. Which I want to know how many other times you've said that if you also go, but I'm not going to marry him. So it's like, it doesn't mean that much. And she was dating 2 other people and like sleeping with them at the time that they like first started talking.
Sure.
And he was also still talking to his ex at that point.
Sure.
So I'm assuming,
but nothing's happened with the ex since then.
No,
like he just admit or.
Yeah, well, so she said that she thought that they had broken up she thought that they were like done in March. So that's what I'm assuming she moved in March.
So he was upset, right, though, that she was sleeping with the other 2 guys. Okay, and then she found out, turns out he was still talking to his ex. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they broke up in March of last year.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm assuming so because she thought that's when it happened, but they were still talking.
Did she say when they stopped talking? When he and his ex stopped talking?
She didn't specify that. But I mean, the whole thing only started with them. They only started dating in December. So it's only been like, but he told her that his ex like is upset that he like is dating someone, or like she like wasn't happy and he chose her and she should be happy. I think this is weird.
I'm confused.
I think this whole thing is weird.
When did he stop talking to his ex? Does he still talk to his ex now? Because that's the thing. If she,
I don't know. I also like, when have you guys been like exclusive and like dating? Has he called you the love of his life? Because if you guys have both called each other the love of your life and you've been dating essentially for like a month at the time of you calling, then I think like you guys might kind of both be those people who just like, deserve each other. Like, but if you're saying this and he hasn't said it at all, then like I would be like, yeah, bounce the fuck out. You fall fast and he's still talking to his ex. But yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a possibility that he like would get back together with his ex. Like this to me sounds like one of those situations. Like no matter how like hot and pretty you think she is, I think like
find out about the ex?
He told her, which also is a little, I don't know. I think I always think, and again, I'm all for honesty.
He admitted it to her even though he was upset about her sleeping with the two guys?
So part of me is either like, so are you lying because you were just trying to get back at her? Or are you like trying to cover your ass like for the future, essentially? I think those are the two options.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really confused about this.
I don't think it makes a lot of sense. Also, like, I don't know how long she's going to wherever she's going before. You said states, not like international, because I have friends who modeled and like if they were
doing like half the year or something,
and they'd be like Tokyo. And so like it's not permanent. Like they're going or they're going to like they're going overseas for like 2 seasons or something like that. But moving state, if it's like, oh, we're moving from like Kentucky to like New York, like, yeah, you'll never see her again. I don't know. You kind of have to like figure out how permanent is this move, because like if
also, is he still talking to her?
Yeah. And when did he get back on dating apps? Because if he got back on dating apps like immediately, like maybe they're keeping it like an open relationship. They're going to date other people until they get back. Like college, like I had friends who did that, where like their hometown boyfriend, they would stay together. So like if it's Miami for swim month or whatever it is, like she's coming back. I just think the whole thing is a little, I think you fall too hard to be with someone who,
unless she's saying it like, I have one of those friends who does that and she's like joking, where she'll meet someone at the bar and the next day she'll be like, oh my God, I am in love with him. No.
That's my best friend who's a Libra. Literally, I get a text once a week. I just met my husband. And I'm
yes, no, you my friend says too. Where she's exactly.
I just met my husband.
We're getting no, my friend will do that. She's like, oh my God, we've been talking for 3 weeks. We're getting married, and that's how she talks. Him. And she's like,
and then I will literally bring up, I'm like, oh, what happened to him? He's like, who? I'm like, are you fucking? This is like serious.
He fucked some other bitch, and I stopped talking to him.
Yeah, like I hate him. He's not cute at all. I'm like, cool, you're marrying him yesterday. Nice. Yeah, I just think this whole, like, I don't know if you've expressed your feelings to him about this, but I mean, to be fair, I think a breakup, if I found out a guy that I was dating, and I don't want to say it's like a double standard at all, because like I also think that like I don't think he should have been annoyed with you that you were sleeping with people when you guys started talking, and I don't think like you should be more annoyed with him that he was talking to his ex. Like I don't think it's like better or worse. I personally just don't think I would date someone who was in contact with their ex recently, but more along the lines of like, actually, no. Maybe if they were in contact with their ex, like just friendly, but someone who like their breakup was based on a technicality. Like, do you know what I mean?
Of her moving.
Of moving. And like that might not be permanent. Like it could not work out. Like that's like moving to LA to be an actor and then being like, well, it's not like a surefire deal. Like I might move home and do all that kind of stuff.
True.
Hopefully I don't have to. But yeah, I don't think I would, because then I would be like, you kind of mentally have one foot out the door, I would think.
Also, I also don't think that hotness has anything to do with like someone's, whether or not someone wants to get back with their ex.
No.
Because I've definitely
had fuck your ex, but like,
right, sure. I mean, but I've had boyfriends that are like the super hot, but then I'm way more into this new guy that I'm dating who's like not as hot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't let that tweak her out of being like, this girl's so much prettier than me, because it's his ex.
Yeah.
But again, was it a technicality?
Because I think that's where my insecurity would lie.
And like, there's one thing about like, yeah, we're in contact with friends, and like, yeah, they're technically in contact as friends, but like, are they always replying with like little inside jokes from their relationship on Instagram stories back and forth?
Or is it like private messaging versus commenting on an Instagram picture?
Sure. And also like maybe it's not like talking on DM that's maybe it's innocuous technically, but is it like them still kind of hanging on to the little thing between each other, you know?
And I think him saying, I don't know, my answer would lie in the fact that him saying that he told his ex about you when you guys started dating and like she was pissed about it and he was like, I chose you. Because I think like if he's going to tell you that he chose you, he's essentially being like, she like she wants me, but I said no.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. So you might choose someone like who knows how long they'd been dating. Like you're going to choose a girl you've known for like 3 months over someone if she moves back suddenly.
Yeah.
Because I do think there is a likelihood.
Well, how long were they dating though too? Did she say that?
No.
Because that's another piece of the puzzle.
And I don't know. My mind is really going to the fact that...
Were they a 2-year relationship?
Yeah.
Or like...
And like really depending on where she is. If she's living in a model apartment, she's so fucking bored. She doesn't have a ton of friends. She's probably not going out. She's probably poor as shit. And she's going to keep talking to her hometown boyfriend. And like every girl in a model apartment all has hometown boyfriends. Like that's like, it would align with that lifestyle for her not necessarily to like move on and be like, oh wow, look at me, I'm such hot shit. It's more like I'm homesick and this is a comforting thing. And every other girl I'm surrounded with is doing the same thing and talking to their boyfriend. And also I have a backup
in case
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't
get
pump
too
the brakes
out on it, but...
No, I would just pump the brakes on your like feel like on like being so madly in love with him without like being assured that I don't know. Some people can like just give their feelings away and be like, if I get my heart broken, I get my heart broken. I'm definitely more cautious about it. And I think if you're concerned, I would like have like more of an in-depth conversation with him about it of like.
Yeah, and I guess if it's making you feel insecure, I'd be like, is she moving back? Like, is there a chance of you guys getting back together? Like, yeah, you chose me, but yeah, was I your only option?
And also, like, when you say you chose me, like, that's such a specific word choice as opposed to being like, no, I'm so over her. Like, and I really like you. I'm so interested in you. Like, it's just
or is
like
this like Peter choosing Hannah Ann?
It's a flip of a coin where like the next day we don't know what's going to happen. He's going to choose Hannah Ann and then switch back over to Madison and then back again. And Hannah Brown is over there being like, really glad I dodged this fucking bullet. Yeah, I just think it's a weird word choice altogether. And I do think like if it's this much drama, like 2 months into a relationship, I don't know. Personally, I would be out. Not that like he necessarily did anything wrong, but just, I wouldn't want to get involved with someone who, again, I guess you need to know why they broke up. Maybe ask some more questions and stop stalking her. Like block her, or not block her, but like, hide all of her stuff so you can't stalk their stuff and find out about her through him. Because like how he talks about her too, you'll be able to tell if those feelings are still there.
Does he continue to bring her up randomly?
Yeah. Just weird. Very, very, very weird. Best of luck. Let us know what happened. I'm just highly curious. And like, where is she modeling? I want to know. I want to know because if it's Miami, she'll be back in a month and a half. Do you know what I mean though? Like,
what if it's LA? What if she moved to LA?
That's weird. If it's LA, then she actually wants to be an actor. Because like the modeling here is not, unless you're from Oregon.
Depends.
Unless you're hella close.
Are you commercial? Are you more commercial look rather than a high fashion?
Yeah.
Because they want skinnier, taller people in New York than they do in LA.
You'll just book more in New York. There's just more opportunity.
Unless you're not as skinny as tall. I had a friend like that who I had a friend like that who was with LA models who was like way more got way more work
commercial.
in LA. Yeah.
No, it's if you have a California look, if you've got like the tan.
Meanwhile, she's moved to like Denver and she's doing modeling. Like
it's Barbizon. She pays like $1,500 to be there.
Hey Megan, so I'm sorry if this is a little scattered. I'm kind of doing this on a whim.
Melissa hates that.
Anyway, so this kind of starts whenever I was a sophomore in high school. I'm a senior now, but sophomore year in high school, I was diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and ADHD. It was a really hard time. You know, I was not okay. Anyways, I became friends with this girl, and she really helped me through a lot. She kind of helped me build my confidence back up. And, there were red flags with her for sure. Like, I just chose not to, acknowledge them because I felt like she was the reason I was okay. Obviously, I know the reason I'm better now is because of me. Like, it was me, not her. Anyways, she was dating this guy, and he is a year older than us, and he's in college. One night he snapped me. This was this year, so this happened senior year of high school. Anyways, he snapped me and he started, sending me nudes and saying how he's always wanted to fuck me and how he's only with my friend because he knew he didn't have a chance with me. And I have a boyfriend, okay? Like, I've never given him any signs that I liked him or anything. But anyways, I told my friend about it because, if the roles were reversed, I would want her to tell me, And so I told her, and he spun it like I was the one that did it. And the girl believed him, and whatever. That's her choice to believe what she wants to. She's very strong. I don't know. She's very stubborn, and so she's gonna believe what she wants to believe. And if she wants to believe that I'm not who I've shown her I am after 3 years of friendship, then that's her loss. I'm a fucking amazing person, okay? And anyways, so my response to that was just to block them on everything, which, I know made me look guilty, but I just didn't want that negativity in my life because I didn't want any of my, depression or anxiety to hit back as hard as it had. And I feel like having that negative air around me all the time would, bring that feeling back. So I ended up blocking them. Anyways, I just wanted to know your opinion.
I really hate where my mind is automatically going. I'm just confused. Yes, blocking them is hella guilty, but do you not have screenshots to show what happened?
Snapchat.
It was on Snapchat.
So unless she thought to screenshot in the moment, she's fucked.
Can you not screenshot Snapchat?
Well, you can, but you'd have to think.
Yeah, you'd have to do it in the moment.
Oh, so do you think it was one?
And he would have known immediately because you get a notification.
Right. Plus, he could have sent it.
That.
He could have sent it for 4 seconds, and she could have just been like, "What the fuck?"
So if you hold it, can you continue to read it or no? Because I'm curious. So it's a dick pic, and then he said, "I'm only with my girlfriend because I thought I wouldn't have a chance with you." So is it a picture of his dick and then text in the corner?
Well, because you can also text on Snapchat,
but then couldn't you screenshot?
But that disappears. You have to save it in the conversation, which he can also see if you've saved it.
Right.
I mean, I would love if he knew that I was screenshotting and
but
saving all
again,
that stuff.
if you don't,
if you're not thinking about it
it's not like Instagram. Wow, I'm old.
Yeah. No.
It's not like Instagram
I haven't had
DMs.
Snapchat.
I haven't
Me
had it
either.
Yeah.
But I remember that's kind of how it goes. You really have to be cognizant of it.
So
in the moment.
Yeah. So it'd have to be long enough that you can see it and then read it and then it's already gone.
It sounds like she also had an inner debate where she's like, should I say something? Which obviously the answer is to do it. But she was probably like, oh my God. Okay, one, shocking. I get that too. And I would also assume, like she did, that my friend of 3 years would believe me if I said, your boyfriend is sending me dick pics. And what?
Yeah. I think the whole thing is weird. And I just don't get, I had a friend in high school who her boyfriend, he had a substance abuse problem, which was also a huge part of this, that I don't even remember how he sent it to me. It might've been through Facebook or something, but sent me a whole long thing about how he'd always wanted to cheat on her with me. And he was super into me and all of that stuff. And I just never fucking opened it, never read it. And they had I think they had recently broken up or were on the outs, and I was like, I think they must have broken up, and I never said anything at all. And even then they haven't been together in fucking years, but I never brought it up to her just because they were broken up.
What's
and
the
that
point?
was just gonna hurt her. But I do think that I don't know. I saved the screen. This was fucking 2011. I saved the screenshots in case he said anything.
I think in this with the
in Snapchat there's nothing.
Yeah, it's just if it happened, if you just saw it and read it and saw it too fast.
That's insane for him.
Yeah.
That's absolutely wild because that's so beyond premeditated. I'm choosing an app in which I'm choosing to send this to you and tell all this information in which it's going to be my word against yours if you tell her. Mm-hmm. Which is probably why, you're right. Probably also why she debated whether or not she's going to say anything because she doesn't have anything to go off of it.
Also, how was he able to spin this in his even if she was send me nudes and then what he's just doing it But
I think this is where I'm confused about does he have screenshots of something? Because like his excuse to his girlfriend was, oh, she asked me for nudes, as opposed to saying, I didn't send her nudes. I have no idea what you're talking about. What, like,
well, because maybe he thinks that she has like the nudes.
Oh wow, this dude is smart for being such a dick.
Yeah,
like I think that I'm not questioning like the validity or like if you had any part in this. I think I'm just more surprised at like how premeditated and smart.
Or maybe he's just like, that seems really unbelievable for me just to say she made all this up versus like she asked me.
Yeah,
But how is...
I mean, the best kind of lies are partial truth.
Imagine if your boyfriend, though, was like, she asked me for nudes.
Wait, yeah, and then you sent... And it was like, so I sent them. Wait, yeah. That's
what
so
I'm confused
true.
about. Is she's just like, oh my God, I feel so bad for you. You victim. You sent her nudes because she asked for them.
He's in college. He doesn't have anything better to do.
Yeah, what a creep. Also,
he's creepy. Like, if you're 17, that's against the law, and you could actually, like, press charges if you're 17 and not 18. So, ooh.
Wow. This is all so weird. But I mean, you did say that like you ignored a bunch of red flags at the beginning of your friendship with this girl. So like, I think that's probably why you blocked and we're just kind of done. This kind of sounds like a final straw.
That too. And I think the blocking thing, like, yeah, maybe it made her look guilty. But again, she's like, I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah, if you're going to fucking college, like if you're going to college and it like really doesn't matter, like
she said, get
who
rid of that
cares?
negative
You have
energy.
a boyfriend.
Fuck them.
I don't think it'll like if it's like a reputation thing and it's like drama. I think people who are like highly, highly dramatic and like you deal with a lot of toxicity from, even if it feels like you're the only one, you're never the only one. And so like if there's a falling out, most of the time people are gonna be like, that makes sense
Saw that
to me.
coming.
I've had that similar sort of experience. So I mean, I guess like all you wanted is our opinion. I mean, yeah, I think the whole thing's fucking weird, and I'm surprised. I've never heard of a guy who's like that smart when sending a dick pic. Like
Snapchat,
like thought provoking.
Also, you did the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's the smart decision to tell her, especially if they're together. Yeah. I don't know if I would necessarily if they were breaking up, if it was just gonna like be triggering.
Yeah.
But wow. Actually, this makes sense. I had a friend a guy she went to high school with Snapchatted her and like told her that he had always had feelings for her and all of that stuff. And then she was like, yeah, I couldn't screenshot it. I didn't get it fast enough. And she was like, I don't know what to do with this. Like he sent it, like it was essentially like he threw his feelings out and then they disappeared. She was like, wait, I need to reevaluate what you're saying. And I was like, oh wow. And she's like, it was the weirdest thing ever that he chose Snapchat. Cause like, that's not really how they communicate. It's just a weird, like, I don't know. It's so odd because I don't use Snapchat at all anymore. And so I think it's such a weird choice to pick an app.
Yeah, you have to like hold down the text if they send it to you, and then it'll stay on their side too, so they know that you've saved it.
Wow.
Like it shows if you screenshot it and if you save the portion of the text.
That's why you got to have another device so you can take a picture of it.
Do you know how many of those I had for like a while? I think Instagram. I think now it doesn't tell you if you do a screenshot, but for a while it used to be like either a screenshot of a story or a DM.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it was a hot
No way.
second.
It was like I think it was.
They were trying to make it like Snapchat.
Yeah. And so I have the amount of shit I have of like on other people's phones of being like, take a picture of this for me. And so it's just like of my phone screen.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
To bring that back, that's juicy.
Well, I'm the kind of passive aggressive person that like the only reason why I have a Finsta is because I'm blocked from people. Like I would rather them know that I'm watching. Like would rather like if I did a screenshot, like I would want you to know I took a screenshot and I would want you to know that I specifically did it. Like I'm the kind of person like I could never like get away with murder.
From?
Just like people. But I'm the kind of person that like I would never like. They talk about like I think they said Virgos are like the sign that'd be like most likely to get away with murder because they're like so meticulous. And they like will watch shit burn and then just stand in the background. Like I'm a Leo. Like I can't go down with anything without being like I did it. It was me. Like I wouldn't be able to.
I'm definitely blocked from a few people too, but I have other accounts that aren't Finstas that are like, yeah. Like I go off our podcast all the time, Instagram, to look up, see what people are up to.
I've done it on accident.
Yeah, there's someone that like popped up the last time on our podcast. I was like, search, and I was like, who's Melissa looking for? Like, who's this person? I was like, okay. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've got a Finsta that I'll like look people up on. Well, do we have?
We have an update.
Okay, we have an update. So this is
oh great.
An update.
Oh great. I'm ready.
It's self-explanatory. What's it from?
So this is from the episode with Bose, and
that's a good one.
It was the original. Well, the caller, she wanted to quit her job, but her boyfriend's she wanted to dump her boyfriend, but her boyfriend's mom was her boss.
Yeah, it's a bad decision.
Oh fuck.
Right? That's what we said. But this is the part that I latched onto in the call was that he's got a lot of siblings. I'm like, oh, so she won't care as much. Like it's not her only son. Like she'll
like
be like,
they live together.
Yeah. So
I mean, my mom wouldn't care if some.
Do you have a lot of siblings?
I'm one of 5.
See, then you disperse the.
Yeah, and also like it depends how the mom is because my mom was someone's boss and like they dumped me. My mom would just be like, well. That's business. That's business. That's relationships. What are you gonna do?
And she said that he like kind of sucked. And I was like, maybe you and his mom can like empathize. Like, yeah, he does.
See, I wouldn't cheat on him. Sucks. That's one thing. Yeah. But like dumping him.
So let's see what happened.
I ended up breaking up with my boyfriend, and he just finished clearing his stuff out of my apartment. You guys are gonna hate me and judge me, but like. Okay, I know you wanted to know the order of events here. So basically, the son, my ex-boyfriend, worked at this place before I started working there with his mom as the boss. So anyway, I started working there right after high school or whatever. And we both had partners when we first met. But eventually those relationships both ended. And we started getting feelings for each other. So we started dating. And then he quit. And started a new job, and I stayed there. Anyway, yeah, so it was an interesting series of events. But basically, the breakup went pretty well, actually, and his mom was super nice to me, and she really has not been awkward at work, like at all, which is great. That was what I was worried about the most, absolutely. And he ended up moving home with her. And now his twin sisters are sharing a bedroom until his deadbeat ass can find his own apartment. Yeah, so there's your update. Yeah, it ended up better than I thought it would. And I'm so glad that you guys gave me some advice. And yeah, thanks.
She sounds so much happier than the first call.
I know.
Like, you can't even contain your giggles.
Giddy.
Like, you're fucking your kid's deadbeat ass. Like, you are stoked. I'm so happy for you. No, it's great. I mean, like, I hate like a
best case scenario.
Yeah, like I hate doing like the applaud a fish for swimming or whatever. But like, yeah, I mean, I would also be worried at the same time of like his mom being upset. But I mean, I think his twin sisters are probably more upset at him.
And you probably, but whatever.
Yeah. But if he's like, if they're all like, fuck, understandable, but now we have to share a bed. This is exciting for you, though. On the prowl now.
That's so funny. I mean, not only did he work for his mom, now he's moving back in with his mom.
Yeah, and you get to keep you got the job through him and you're still there.
Yeah, how long were they together?
A couple, like, I think like over a year because they were living together.
Damn.
I cannot imagine breaking up after living together.
No, I've never experienced that.
Like, that's so...
Yet.
Oh, baby daddy on watch. Know your place.
Damn.
Yeah, that's just stressful. Stressful as fuck. Also, wasn't she paying? She was like paying for.
Mm-hmm. Well, we live in my house, so if we break up, it's
like. Granted, my rent is expensive, so I'm like, fuck. We'll need someone else to come back. But
I'll move in.
Thank you. I'd love that. Do you want to move in downstairs? Have you thought about that more?
I've thought. No, actually, I haven't. I shouldn't lie about that.
I think you should move in downstairs.
Where do you live?
I live
I'll cut it.
Okay. Well, that's it for our episode. Bekah, thank you so much for being on. Plug your shit. Where can people find you?
Well, I'm on Bekah.
She's on Bekah.
I'm on Bekahgram. It's an app I'm starting.
It's only pictures of her.
Instagram at Bekah. I got the handle.
Impressive.
BEKAH.
Did it cost you money?
Yep.
Wait, plug your podcast.
So, yeah, my Instagram's at Bekah, and then my podcast is Chatty Broads, and we do recaps of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and now Bachelor Listen to Your Heart, and Bachelor in Paradise. My whole life is becoming about the fucking
You guys also
Bachelor.
do other ones. I listen to
yeah.
I
Half
listened
of
to
the
your
year.
I forget which one, but then it auto played with the like post birth doula. I'm not even pregnant, and
the
I like
postpartum doula one.
Oh my god, I'm felt like I learned so much.
I'm so glad that
And
people
I'm-
actually tuned into. Oh yeah, you said it auto played.
Literally, and I was like, this is the whole fucking thing.
It's fascinating.
And I am not pregnant. I am not trying to get pregnant, but
so
here
glad.
I am being like, this is the smartest thing ever. I think it's fucking genius.
Anyway,
well,
yeah, so you can listen there. And yeah, we'd half the year we do non-Bachelor shit, but we are going to be starting to recap Love is Blind.
But I do think our audience will like you because you guys are like,
we talk about sex, motherhood.
It's like
which I think is
two
interesting, even if you're not a mom.
woke women who are doing like you don't really find that a lot with like Bachelor recaps necessarily, and like we have a lot of our audience who
trust
watches.
me, if you watch The Bachelor, we have hot takes on it on the show that I think we really psychoanalyze the shit out of the show.
That's how I watch it too.
It's the way you should watch it.
Really, because otherwise it's like you're just blindly loving all these people being like, no, they're all there for the right
You're just
reasons.
gonna let Chris Harrison tell you what
also,
to
can
think
we talk about
these?
what was on his face yesterday? Did you watch last night's episode?
Yeah, of course.
He had that like when he was talking to Peter at the end, he had this like weird like dark spot on his chin. And he like missed a whole section while shaving, and the whole thing looked so weird, and I could not pay attention.
It wasn't a funky shadow or something?
No, because every time he moved his face, it was just like it looked like a splotch. Like it looked like a modern art
Spray
piece.
tan gone wrong?
Maybe it was that. I tell my boyfriend, he and I were like losing it the whole time, like pausing, getting really close, being like, what is it? Like, how did he forget to shave that?
Because I remember once I got a spray tan and like a droplet of it actually fell on my foot, and then it was like very like a dark spot.
Yeah, or if it was he had like dry skin there and it just really clung on.
He
wow,
didn't exfoliate
you might be
properly.
Really, I think you're. Oh my god, I have to look it up now. Wow, that's crazy. Well, guys,
thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for being on. You're very good at. I mean, you have a podcast, but this is a good time.
Thank you.
If you guys want to call in for another episode, you can give us a call. That's how you would do it. Leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. International listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. All of our socials will be listed down below if you want to listen ad-free, Stitcher Premium. We also have YouTube version as well as anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Buy my book. It comes out May 5th. Cinco de Mayo. Melissa's nodding because I'm supposed to promote it in every single thing that we do. And we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts. Camera operator Amanda Lechner. And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent, and I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast. And with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple Podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone. So we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.